This is FNX.
I look at sandwiches like most people look at hot women. Like, you know how most people are walking down the street and somebody, a hot girl walks by and they're just like, that's me at Walmart in the sandwich section. I'm just like, oh my God, it's got tomatoes.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I need money.
Welcome back to the Broke Ass Podcast. This week we have a great guest. Returning to the show is Jake Aurelian. I am Shithead Dave.
I'm the double A fucking Ron. Back. Bitches, we are back, the Broke Ass Podcast. It's been a couple weeks, as you guys should remember from the last podcast. We've been working on some things. We've released the first episode of Park Rangers. We're currently talking through the second season of Nerdploitation.
Oh yeah. Which
that'll
have a set upgrade. We're gonna actually build a set.
We've got a couple of other projects in mind, mostly featuring our buddies over at Thai Studios.
Yep. Working on a website, which
Yep.
we should have the domain pretty soon.
That's so big things coming from the Broke Ass.
Yeah.
Speaking of big things coming from the Broke Ass, we've got kind of a special occasion here today. We're gonna have a little phone interview with a local guy, author, award-winning author
Yep.
to be exact. We're gonna have Jake Aurelian on the phone. Going to be talking about his new book, maybe his old books. Who knows what we're gonna talk about with him? Dave, why don't you give us a little rundown?
Well, yeah, Jake Aurelian. He's an award-winning author. He's written books such as Obama Wama Ding Dong, Living Well is the Best Revenge. What was his last one he was on? Broken Necks. No, what was it? Oh, Dead Wrestlers, Broken Necks,
Yeah.
and the Women Who Screwed Me.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk today about his latest book,
Right.
which is a co-authorship. It's him and Ripper the Clown. So why don't we just call him right now,
Yeah, we'll just get him on the phone.
live? I don't even know if he's ready, but we'll call him.
Well, we're gonna call him. He should be.
Mr. Jake Aurelian?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having this interview with us.
Oh, absolutely.
We have a lot to talk about this podcast. Before we get to that, though, I want to tell everybody this is Jake's return to the Broke Ass Podcast.
Thanks for having me on again. And, I really enjoyed being on the show this past summer. And it was a really good time. I heard from a lot of people who had seen it, listened to the podcast who really enjoyed it. So I appreciate you guys having me back on again.
Well, thank you for that. That means the whole world to us. Let's get to this. You have a brand new book out.
I do.
And we're gonna get to it. Hold on a second. I apologize. I mean, somebody's messing with the door here. Can you hold real quick, please? This is really embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm fine.
What the?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus.
You know what? If you want to talk to Jake about his new book, you know what? Don't talk to that piss midget, that little pissant. You talk to Ripper the Clown about Ripper the Clown's new book.
Oh my God. Well,
You know who you're talking to? Ripper the freaking Clown. You go straight to the source. You don't use your cell phone to call some prissy award-winning author. You talk to me.
everybody, Ripper the Clown. I don't even know how you found the studio. We changed locations.
I'm all knowing, man. I show up everywhere. I am everywhere. That's just Ripper the Clown. That's the persona. That's the mystique.
Well, I'm glad you're here, but you just interrupted arguably our best interview ever. That had a lot of potential there. I mean,
You know what? Your interview's right here. Right here today, right here with me.
let's make this the best interview we've ever done.
It's gonna be.
All right.
Because Ripper the Clown is the best guest you'll ever have.
It's almost like we scripted this whole damn thing.
That's just the way Ripper
It's
works.
so surreal.
I know.
You never know what to expect in the Broke Ass Studios. Ladies and fucking gentlemen, Ripper the Clown is who we've got going on in here. We're talking about the new book, The Life and Minds and Zombie Apocalypse
of Ripper the Clown, the autobiography of an unconventional zombie.
And speaking of broke ass, I think your door's broke now, but that's fine. That's fine. You'll take care of it. That's an expense to you.
Screwdriver and duct tape should be fine.
Yep.
So tell us about the book.
Well, the new book, The Life and Minds and Zombie Apocalypse of Ripper the Clown. It's a autobiography of an unconventional zombie, told from Ripper the Clown's perspective. And it's about the zombie apocalypse, but this book is different from all the other zombie books that you ever read, because it redefines and spoofs the zombie genre. It's a comedy book, but at the same time, it still has the zombie elements that everyone enjoys, but it just redefines it. It's rewritten the genre. It's presented the story from the zombie's point of view. And in order to do that, it had to rewrite the entire genre, because typically zombies are just brain dead morons who can't speak two or three, just moaning and groaning. They can't even speak a single word. So in order to present it from the zombie's point of view, I had to rewrite and redefine the genre.
Excellent.
I think someone else is trying to get into the house.
Yeah, that seems to be Aaron's jungle cats in the other room.
It might be Jake trying to come here.
Maybe it is.
It might be Jake trying to interrupt Ripper.
Maybe it is. Or maybe it's Flipper the Clown, or Stripper the Clown, or Tripper the Clown. My twin brother, he's a stoner, is Tripper the Clown.
No, that is my jungle cats. They're mad because they're locked up. We don't usually do that here, but show must fucking go on. So this is a book told from the point of view of the zombie.
Yes.
When you were writing the book, were you like thinking of maybe taking advantage of some kind of new marketplace that opened up, or was it just something that you've always kind of had in your head?
It's the clown character, Ripper the Clown, started to get some attention the past year. Ripper the Clown, we celebrate my 2nd birthday on Halloween.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Happy
I'm only 2 years old. Next week,
Wow.
2 years old.
2 years old, writing books.
Absolutely. And so the clown character had always appeared in my alter ego's books, Jake Aurelian's books. He was just an obscure reference. In Dead Wrestlers, Broken Necks, and Women Who Screw Me Over, Ripper the Clown was a dead wrestler. A member of the tag team called the Cadaver Dogs.
Nice.
And then in his 2nd and 3rd fiction books, We Leave With Our Guns Out and Living Well Is the Best Revenge, the clown was mentioned in both of them again. And in Living Well Is the Best Revenge, he was a stand-up comedian. So at that point in time, Ripper the Clown was kind of born. It was conceived that he was going to go up on stage and perform stand-up comedy. So in the past year, the clown started to get some attention. And I guess what happened was he needed to become more than just an obscure reference, a 1 or 2 line reference in all the books. He needed a book of his own. So it was at that point that we collectively, me and Jake, decided to make Ripper a zombie, because zombies are hot. The zombie genre is really hot, even though it's overdone,
Yeah.
and really stereotypical at this point and cliched. It's still hot.
Yeah.
So, but the book needed to be written from Ripper's point of view, so I had to tweak it and make the genre more adaptable to telling it from the person point of view.
That's awesome.
And, so the zombie apocalypse occurs. Ripper gets killed. Does not know that he's dead yet. He discovers that he slowly but surely puts it together that he's dead, and the world starts understanding that the zombie apocalypse has occurred. And when one zombie's killed by humans, it kind of precipitates the zombie rebellion. And with Ripper since he was the first zombie, as the head of that rebellion.
I see.
And so it becomes the cold versus the warm, with Ripper as the leader of the zombie faction.
It's a must read. Jake had me read the book, and if you go on his Amazon list, there's just tons and tons of great reviews about it.
There are some good reviews of this book.
It's a great book. You really do reinvent the zombie genre. It's awesome.
I have to say this, I'm really proud of the reviews this book has received. It's really humbling and flattering.
Yeah.
That people take the time to write reviews for this book, and they say such flattering things about it. I mean, each review so far for this book, it's different.
Yeah.
They're all positive, but they're all different. They all point out elements of this book that they like. One of the reviews says that Ripper's going to win the heart of the nation soon, which I hope that happens. I think the same review says that I should be hosting Saturday Night Live, And then another review says that this book's funnier than the entire Harry Potter series. So when people say stuff like that, it's really, it's just really, it really. And I'm not trying to.
I'm going to say that the last one definitely.
Yeah, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. But,
Dave.
That
Why? I already have to deal with your jokes. You're gonna bring in another person with this one-liner, just
But I'm really proud of those reviews. I'm proud this book got second place at the Hollywood Book Festival for fiction, and they judge on books that they think should be adapted to movies or TV shows. I'm extremely proud of that. I'm extremely proud of the awards. It's not. I'm not trying to be, braggadocious and arrogant here, even though that is Ripper's tendency. But I will say that this praise for this book and that award, it just really humbles me. It is
the award. They should become movies. Does it have a lot of pull in actual Hollywood?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But the Hollywood Book Festival, that's what they judge on. Mm-hmm. Books that they believe should be turned into movies or TV shows, or would be adaptable to some other bigger medium. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that somebody looks at this book and says, "Hey, this should, in our opinion, be a movie."
That's incredible.
That is incredible. You touched on it for a second. I want to ask, being an aspiring stand-up comedian myself, what's it been like for you the past couple of years starting to do the stand-up comedy? What successes, failures have you had?
When I went up on stage, it was again Halloween 2012. I'd never been on stage for anything before, ever in my life. And doing the Ripper the Clown thing was awesome. Ripper went up there and he kicked ass. And I'm not gonna lie. I was, I had the butterflies. I had the nervous jitters going on stage for the first time. But everyone loved it. And again, I'm not trying to toot this horn.
Love it.
But it's nice when I do. That night in particular, I heard from a friend of mine who she said she went to work the next day, and a coworker was talking about how they went to this comedy show, and it was the Halloween show, and that all the comedians were bad, but there was this one clown guy on the show, and he was the best one. And the funny thing was, this woman knew my alter ego.
Yeah.
She had no clue who was up there. So then my friend tells her the backstory.
Uh-huh.
But at the time I didn't really tell a lot of people. So I was going up on stage there for a while. I was going up on stage, and there were people in the audience who did not know who I was, who knew me, my alter ego, Jake. And at the same time, I've met comedians along the way who, when I've met them without being in this gimmick, they don't know who I am. Doing stand-up, in answer to your question, I love doing it. I absolutely love going up on stage and having people react to my material. And it's all material from my books, and I don't know many, and I know that a lot of comedians in this area, the Central Illinois area, have a decent amount of accolades to them, but I don't know any who have had, 8 literary awards with their performing material that have won that many awards. And that's what I do. I perform, and my material is coming, most of it's coming from my books. And if it's not in my books now, it's going to be in my books later. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of successes, like just the little things, going up on stage and consistently after every show having people come up to me and say, "You are the best one. I like this. I like that. I love this." Hearing from strangers, going out in public and having people come up to me and say, "Hey, I saw you do this and I saw you do that."
Yeah.
And one set in particular I've done a couple times, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. It's Ripper the Clown Show. And if you just do a search for Ripper the Clown Heckler, that it will come. Facebook and Heckler, because it's the set. It's a Facebook set that leads to a heckler scene. Buddy of mine in the crowd heckles me at the end, and I get pissed and I chase him off.
You suck, clown!
Oh yeah? After what happened last time, you want another piece of me, you son of a bitch? Come on!
I mean, that's the positives about doing the comedy. The negatives about doing the comedy, sometimes you go up there and the audience just craps on you.
I know all about that.
they don't like whatever, and they crap on you. And one example happened a few months ago when someone from the table came up to me before the show, and they're like, "Hey, will you heckle us, harass us on stage?" And I'm like, "No, I don't do stuff like that. Ripper does his own stuff. I don't really interact with the audience."
Yeah.
Because even when I say the audience craps on your material, even when that happens, I'm still proud of the material, and I know it's good. So I don't really. It's sometimes hard to take, but at the same time, I have confidence in the material where I know that next time it'll be received.
You showed up at the show with your own material. You worked on it. You have pride in it.
Yeah.
You're gonna perform your stuff.
Yeah.
And these people are like, can you change all that and just center it around me?
Yeah, exactly. And so they asked me if I'll heckle them. I tell them no, and they're like, well, we'll pay you $20. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. So I went up, and 95% of the audience loved my material. The crowd was laughing gregariously, but that one table started on me as soon as I walked on stage. And so I knew at the time, I was like, okay, so I refuse to harass them, so they're going to harass me. And I ignored them the entire time. And the fact that I ignored them made them more pronounced.
Right.
But here's the thing. I've been to too many shows, comedy shows, where I've seen incidents like that turn into fiascos. I may be unpredictable.
Yeah.
I may have that persona, the rogue, the renegade, the unpredictable cartoon character come to life, but I'm still a professional.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and even before the show, for some reason, I that night when I was getting ready, I was like, you know what? Whatever happens tonight, because my good friend Charlie Hester's the host, and I know the owners of the venue, I was like, you know what? Whatever happens tonight, you're going to have to answer to your friends. And just remember that. So I had to really control myself and not say something, but I just did my stuff, and they got louder and louder, but I just let them go. And I've seen too many scenes where veterans of the comedy scene go after people. I've seen them leave stage and go after people. So, to me, that's not your stuff like that. The audience does not like stuff like that.
No.
Not
the people who are there to laugh.
Yeah. I could say that having done the heckler bit where I chased a guy out of the crowd, which I know it made people uncomfortable, but it was staged. But when something like that is legit, it could escalate. And I had people after the show, everyone came up to me and told me to handle it professionally, but I also had people, other performers and patrons tell me, wow, they were really hostile and it made everyone uncomfortable. So why escalate a scene like that and make everyone even more uncomfortable and look like an unprofessional asshole in the process?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I had certain comedians praising this, but then I had certain comedians say, the clown gimmick's demoralizing the comedy, blah, 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 blah. Says the people who go up there and tell horrible jokes about the Nazi Holocaust and child molestation and things that just aren't funny. I say this in this book. You can't rationalize with somebody who thinks that a Nazi Holocaust joke or a child molestation joke, you can't tell them that it's not funny because they don't understand that it's not.
Yeah.
And so when I had that type of reaction from certain comedians, oh, you're demoralizing the comedy, I realized that I was onto something. And I knew that amid the positive reactions, the negative reactions were because of jealousy and animosity and people afraid to lose their spot.
I'm sure you get this a lot because you're a well-known wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of similarities in wrestling and
yes.
comedy.
Yes.
And the big one, to me, politics.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If you do a better set, they're going to politic and they're going to bury you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're yes, it's jealousy because you got something that people have to turn their heads to.
Yeah.
And
the character's memorable. When people leave, they're probably not going to remember. They may remember jokes from certain people, but visually,
maybe not even remember your name. Just
exactly
go that clown.
The clown. Yes,
that clown.
exactly.
Yeah.
It looks aesthetically, it's memorable.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is. The comedy scene's like the wrestling scene. You've got promoters who promote themselves, who push themselves, who promote their drinking buddies, who push their drinking buddies, who take new people and kind of try to bury them because they're jealous of their spot. It's just like the wrestling world.
Yeah.
It's the comparisons are really strange because they're so diametrically different, but it's
for people who have been in both.
Yeah.
Because we are involved with the indie wrestling scene.
Yes.
Very similar.
Yes.
And
more similar than I would care to
be a part
I would
of.
care to be a part of. Speaking of aesthetically remembering, look at the cover of this book. Look at that. It's
Ripper the Clown again.
So I think, in my personal opinion, I haven't read this book yet. After you explaining the premise, I now want to read the book. But if I was walking down a bookshop or, say, at Barnes & Nobles, etc., and I saw that cover, I'd be immediately drawn to that.
Yeah.
As an author, what makes you choose how to cover a book?
You know what? I want to pay respects to a friend of mine right now who passed away this past May. Ron Carlstrom, he was an artist. He designed my first fiction book cover and then my second fiction book cover, Dead Wrestlers, Broken Necks, and the Women Who Screwed Me Over, and We Leave With Our Guns Out. First one I wanted to look like an old-fashioned wrestling poster. I just gave him some photos. I said, this is what I want. I want, the price of the book to seem like the ticket price, and I just wanted it to look like an old-fashioned wrestling poster. Gave it to him, bam, did it one shot, perfect. Same thing with We Leave With Our Guns Out. I wanted it to look like an old Grindhouse movie poster. He did that perfectly. Ripper the Clown doesn't have very good Photoshop skills. I'm perfectly honest with my when I'm not good at something, and it's a learning process for me. So I slowly but surely try to design some of my own covers. Unfortunately, again, Ron passed away this past May, really suddenly and shocking, and we all miss him a lot. But he lives on in my books. It makes me feel good to know that his work is with every book that I sell, and it's with me every time I do a book signing, because he was an important guy in my life. Brilliant artist, and had done a lot of things. I reference him in both the aforementioned books. He was a graphic designer in Chicago, worked for WGN, Chicago Tribune. The only person I knew who played the Bozo Grand Prize game. And he did that, in the studio during off hours when they needed a break. But, so I started to design my own covers.
Yeah.
And with this one, I just started looking through the pictures that I had. So that became the cover. And I actually went through 3 or 4 different pictures before I kind of hit on that one.
Jake, I think, goes further than other authors because he actually brought his character to life.
Yeah,
I'm sure you talk to Jake a lot. Wink, wink.
I talk to him on a fairly regular basis. Sometimes we have fights, just like brothers and sisters, they have fights, they get pissed off at each other. But
you seem to know when we're talking to him.
Yeah. Again, I'm just omnipotent like that.
Yeah. Has there ever been any thought of bringing any other characters to life?
Not really.
No.
I can answer that really quick. Like, nope. Not from the books. I've thought of other characters that Ripper could have in his little entourage, and that is actually kind of in the works to a small degree. But book-wise, no. And again, the Ripper character started just in Dead Wrestlers and Broken Necks and the Women Who Screwed Me Over. And I just liked the name, and I was just like, that's gonna be the character. It's weird when I think about it now because it's been a few years, and it's like almost like it was meant to be, like that character implanted in that one story, in that 1 or 2 lines. You can almost say that me and Jake and Ripper are really close.
Yeah.
You could say that, even though we have our battles. But,
I would say that.
Yeah.
There's just something about you reminds me of him.
Yeah. Totally different people. Totally different people.
Yeah.
Totally different people.
Which
but
I'm still kind of like in shock. That you showed up. I mean, it's great that you're here, but I don't know how you found the place.
I just you see that video I did. It's on my YouTube page where I'm searching for a sound. I keep hearing this sound. It's like 6 minutes of video. I mean, I was doing that all freaking day looking for that sound, and finally I found the sound. It was just actually right down the street. It was my this girl shaking a rattle for her baby. That's how I found you.
Oh,
like
wow.
I heard Jake talking to you, and I'm like, I gotta find, and it just so happened I was right across. It wasn't a big day-long ordeal. I was just around the corner, so I was like, shit, there, that's where it's happening. So
it's going down.
I just had to like burst through the door and stop that right there. I had to just put an end to it.
He found us at one of the many broadcast studios.
You know what I just noticed? We never officially hung up on Jake. He's probably listening still. He's
probably
writing all this down.
You know what? If he is, he's been too afraid to say anything because he knows I can go off on people real easy. He knows that Ripper's got a temper.
Well, sometimes piss midgets don't know how to speak.
They don't. The piss midgets know when they should keep their mouth shut.
So Ripper.
Yes.
Influences in the comedy scene.
A lot of them, and they're not. I hear a lot of comedians talk about their influences, and most of them are modern day.
Yeah.
Really, modern day wise for me, it'd be Bill Cosby and Julie Brown. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're talking Dick Van Dyke, We're talking W.C. Fields, Groucho Marx, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd. Guys that started doing comedy in its infancy for film. Guys who at the time had to be funny without cussing because of the censorship.
yeah.
Had to be funny without being vulgar or sexist or misogynistic or any of those things. Because they were working under constraints. So they had to perform and be funny through things that are just naturally funny, not shock value humor.
Yeah.
And I respect that a lot, you know. And I see in the comedy scene, people go up there and they just try to do that shock humor to get a laugh.
They know what a funny word is. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And so, but with those guys, they had to work under different conditions.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke especially. I mean, that guy, he's
If
a
you're from
genius.
Danville and don't know
Yeah,
Dick Van
yeah,
Dyke,
it's a crime.
Yeah.
And it's a crime if you don't know Dick Van Dyke, wherever you're
Altogether,
from.
yeah,
wherever
yeah.
you're from.
Yeah.
Because the guy's a genius. And so those are the influences. And Fred Gwynn, I love Fred Gwynn as Herman Munster. Lucille Ball, she's another one.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago I was on stage and I was cussing, but I was cussing like W.C. Fields would cuss. Because they couldn't cuss back then. So in order to get around the censors, he'd say stuff like Godfrey, Daniel, Mother, of Pearl. And, you know, so I'm saying that. And it's funny because you think that I'm cussing. But at the same time, back then, he could get away with it and get around the censors.
Yeah.
And I did an Ice Bucket Challenge video with a friend of mine, Charlie Hester. She's
She's a funny woman.
You know her?
She is a funny
Okay,
woman.
Yes,
I do. I've done some. I've done some local acting with
Okay.
Danville Light Opera.
Yeah.
I've done some acting with her husband.
Okay.
I've seen some of her stuff.
Yeah, Matt's a great guy.
Yeah, Matt's a phenomenal guy. Charlie, she's a very, very funny woman.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen any of her stuff, like, it'd be a real treat for you if you did.
Yeah. Charlie Hester, I say that she's like the modern day Lucille Ball. That's how strongly I feel about Charlie.
Huge compliment.
Her facial expressions are always gold. Her material is just really fantastic, and it's really relatable, especially to women in the audience, because a lot of female comics go up there and they just tell really raunchy, vulgar stuff. And again, shock value stuff. But Charlie, she does really solid material that everyone can relate to, especially the women in the audience, and it's not vulgar and it's not, horribly disgusting. And so I love working with Charlie. I love working with Charlie so much. Whenever I had the opportunity to do a show with her or do a video with her, it's just always a good time. And we work well together, we interact together. And so I did an Ice Bucket video with Charlie. And when the Ice Bucket craze was going on earlier this summer. And so I figured, well, what would a clown have thrown in his face? You wouldn't do water, it'd be confetti.
Yeah.
So she hit me with confetti, and I'm like, I have to explain it because, I'm so pissed off because she didn't use my confetti bucket. And then I have to say, well, because clowns have a water bucket and a confetti bucket, and they act like they're going to throw the water, but they throw the confetti, and it's so, and actually that confetti, I'm still finding that crap around the house. It's been like 3 or 4 months, and realistically, she hit me on the side, on the side of the face, and it kind of hit me after. It's like, if I'd had my mouth open and she had hit me with it, it could have been bad. I could have inhaled that, and that could have been the end of Ripper the Clown. But then, so the scenes proceed with we take a break, and I come out wearing a slicker, and Charlie's like, clown boy, that's not how it's done. And this goes back to the cussing thing. And so the video is edited with a bunch of bleeps with Ripper cussing and storming off. And then I've got the uncensored version out there where he's not saying anything. It's just WC Fields type cussing.
I love that.
And so, and I guess just to finish off the Ice Bucket story, so the end happens where she dumps a little bucket on my head, and I ramble on about how this is not a big deal, and then she comes and she dumps a big bucket on my head, and oh, poor Ripper, he forgot that his cell phone was in his pocket. And then, oh, poor Ripper, he realizes his face paint's streaming, he doesn't want everyone to see his secret identity. And then poor Ripper, his Christmas lights are on, and it's June or July, and he's not going to be able to buy new Christmas lights till October. And so that was kind of the premise of the video. And it's just watching the video, of course, I didn't see her facial expressions during the video, but watching it, it's like, it just made the whole video, Charlie's reactions to me. And that's the sign of an awesome professional, where we could not go over this. Just say, this is the premise, this is what we want to do, and go out there and do it in one take, because all that stuff had to be done in one take, and nail it and it's just I love working with her. Charlie, you're my sister, one of the few sisters in my life, and I love you to death.
Good.
All right then. So we learned a lot today about Ripper. We learned that Jake is a piss midget. We've learned. So now let's learn a little bit more about Ripper. You can find Ripper where? You can find him on YouTube, I'm sure.
Yes.
He's got a Facebook page?
Yes. On YouTube, it's Ripper the Clown Show.
Unfortunately, if you were to ask Grandpa what his review of the channel, what would he say?
It's bullshit.
You gotta check that video out. That's so funny. I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I did. I love that video with my grandpa. Gas is still over $3.50 a gallon. What do you think about that, Grandpa?
I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
I heard my grandpa say that.
It's like, what do you think about my book?
Randomly say, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And that's just the way it is. Like, and I want to say this just real quick, and then I'll get back to the comment But I have a great group of friends, great group of supportive friends, who immediately saw what I was doing, understood what I was doing, and wanted to support it and be a part of it. So when you watch my videos, everyone in those videos are my friends.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot like our videos.
yeah.
None of us could do it on our own.
Yeah. And,
I mean, we all could, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be what it is.
yeah. And so when I send out a text saying, hey, I want to film a video Saturday, it makes me feel so good when I hear, oh yeah, we'll be there, we'll be there. And so being able to, I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing without having such a great group of friends. And the list would be way too long to name everybody, but if you've been in one of my videos, you know who you are.
Or one of your gigs, you got the Clown support group right
exactly,
there. They're always there.
Exactly. And so, we were talking about the grandpa video, and that thought just entered my mind that I need to thank all my friends for everything, because
of course,
the party bus video, the ice bucket video.
I'm surprised you're still alive today. You don't mess with rednecks from Westville.
Well, I heard they weren't happy about it, but at the same time, I have ran into numerous relatives from those people who've said, "Don't tell them I said this, but I thought it was great."
They got a beer in them and they calm down.
Well, some people just can't handle truth.
Yeah. And, so in the paranormal videos that we've done, the paranormal spoofs, and we recently did one, it's a holiday video where I needed a group of Christmas carolers. And it's just, whenever I need people in my videos, my friends are ready, and they're ready to go, and they're ready, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. They're standing there with me, and the great thing is, like, we work well together.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be, doing one scene, and somebody will say, hey, what if we did this? And then someone will add, hey, let's not do that, but let's do this. And they twist it, and then I say, well, let's do this and this. And one little idea is turned into a new scene, and I love that camaraderie that we have.
The organic experience.
Yes, and it's working together and having them contribute. It's just wonderful. I love that aspect of what I'm doing. That's one of the joys of performing, having that type of support.
Yeah.
And so with the grandpa video, I had heard my grandpa say that. Just,
it was so good.
Just randomly, like, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and much like what I just described. And that's kind of why I got onto that subject, because it was just one of those things where, like, I'll be out with my friends now, and we'll be talking about something, and someone will say, that should be a Ripper video. And then a couple minutes later, someone will say, well, this should be a Ripper video. And it's like, by the end of the night, I've got 4 or 5 ideas in my phone from videos that, from ideas that people have thrown out. And the same thing, it's just like, with the video with Grandpa, he said one day, I was talking to him, and he said, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And I just instantly, I'm like, that should be a video.
Yeah.
Him saying it over and over again to all these random questions.
And then when you get to the actual question you really want to answer,
like,
he says it's a bunch of bullshit. You're like, oh, come on.
Yeah. And so I had a blast with that.
Yeah.
And Grandpa did too. He loved the video, and he wants to do more. So
great.
There may be a second installment of that coming soon.
Very awesome.
And you can catch that on YouTube. Like you said, you have a Facebook.
Yes,
How
I do
can
have
they
a
buy
Facebook.
your books?
Go to Amazon.com. You could type in Ripper the Clown. This book will come up. If you want to buy my co-author's books, if you want to support that guy,
You just type in piss midget.
Yes.
Yes.
Jake Aurelian. It's Aurelian, and he has 8 books on Amazon, and 6 of them reference Ripper the Clown, or Ripper the Clown is in them in some context. Even the new children's book.
Look at his videos, look at our videos.
Yes,
One more
yes.
place you can find Ripper the Clown now is right here on the Broke Ass Podcast. that is going to wrap up this motherfucking edition. I'm the Double A Ron.
I'm Shithead Dave.
And this...
Ripper the freaking Clown.